Every famous footballer's tragic death explained. Let's get to it. Diogo Jota, July 3rd, 2025. It was meant to be just a quiet drive through Zamora, Spain. Diogo Jota and his younger brother Andre Silva were heading toward the coast, trying to catch a ferry back to England. They had family waiting, football waiting, life waiting, but none of it would happen. Reports said the Lamborghini was moving fast. The car tire blew out, lost control, slammed into a roadside barrier, then caught fire almost immediately. When emergency services arrived, it was already too late. Both brothers were gone. Jota was only 28, Andre was 25. This wasn't just any footballer. Jota had just helped Liverpool win the Premier League. He had just gotten married to his partner, Rute. They had 3 kids. He had just scored the winning goal in the UEFA Nations League final. He was in his prime. People forget how far he came, from Pacos de Ferreira to Wolves, then to Liverpool. Klopp trusted him. Fans loved his pressing, his positioning, his instinct. He was a quiet killer in the box. And now, silenced. Just like that, even more tragic. Andre Silva, his brother, had just begun building his career at Penafiel in Portugal's 2nd division. 2 dreams ended in one crash. Bobby Charlton. He was football royalty, the man who survived Munich, lifted the World Cup, and made Manchester United a global powerhouse. So Bobby Charlton was elegance in boots, but even legends fade. Charlton passed away in October 2023, aged 86. He had been battling dementia for years, quietly. The kind of illness that steals memory from the man who made millions of them. By the end, he didn't know much about football, or even himself. He won the Ballon d'Or in 1966, scored 249 goals for Manchester United, a one-club man, a war survivor, and a gentleman till the end. When he died, England stopped. Old Trafford was filled with flowers. The flag at Wembley dropped to half-mast. It wasn't tragic in the usual way, but for anyone who saw him glide across the pitch, it still hurt. Because when Charlton died, so did a piece of football's soul. Andres Escobar, World Cup 1994. Colombia were dark horses. But in the group stage against the USA, Andres Escobar stuck his leg out. Own goal. Colombia crashed out early. 1 goal ends their tournament. He flies back to Medellin. Everyone tells him to lay low. He goes out to a nightclub anyway. Outside the parking lot, he gets confronted. "Thanks for your own goal," they sneer. Escobar says it was just a mistake. One of them opens fire and hits him 6 times. He died on the spot at 27 years old. Cartel-linked revenge over a football match. Escobar was called the gentleman of Colombian football. Now he's a symbol of how far the game can fall when money and crime mix with passion. Marc-Vivien Foé. 2003 Confederations Cup. Cameroon versus Colombia. Foé had just made a simple run back into midfield, then he collapsed. Everyone thought he fainted. But when the medics ran on, the panic on their faces told another story. He never regained consciousness. He was 28. It was cardiac arrest caused by hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, more like a thickened heart wall that often hides until it's too late. After that, FIFA changed everything. New heart screenings, mandatory defibrillators, but none of that saved Foé. Miklos Feher, January 2004. Benfica away at Vitoria. Miklos Feher comes off the bench, picks up a yellow card, grins at the ref, and then collapses. He lands face first on the turf. Teammates rush in. The medics follow. Cameras capture it all. He dies from cardiac arrest. He was 24 years old. Benfica retired his number 29 shirt. Every fan remembers that haunting clip, the smile, then the fall. Emiliano Sala. Cardiff had just broken their transfer record for him. Emiliano Sala was flying from Nantes to Wales to start his Premier League dream. The plane was a single-engine Piper Malibu. Mid-flight over the English Channel, it disappeared from radar. No distress call. Nothing. The wreckage was found days later underwater. Sala's body was recovered while the pilot was never found. He was 28. The flight wasn't even legal. The pilot wasn't qualified for that type of aircraft. Sala never played a game for Cardiff, a record signing they never got to see. Diego Maradona. He cheated, he scored magic, he lived like a rock star. Diego Maradona was the most chaotic football genius ever, the hand of God in 1986, the goal of the century right after. But off the pitch, cocaine, alcohol, wild nights, he had surgeries on his knees, his stomach, even his brain. It all caught up eventually. In 2020, he died from a heart attack at home in Argentina. He was 60, alone, despite the world worshipping him. His funeral shut down Buenos Aires. They draped his coffin in an Argentina flag and played his highlights in the streets. He once said he wanted to come back and play football again. Maybe he already has. Pelé. Before Messi, before Ronaldo, there was Pelé, the man who won 3 World Cups, the man who made the number 10 shirt legendary. He scored over 1,000 goals, made his debut at 15, lifted Brazil to greatness. But even kings grow old. Pelé spent his final years battling colon cancer. In December 2022, he died, surrounded by his family. He was 82. His death stopped Brazil. Even FIFA lowered their flags. In football's royal court, there will never be another Pelé. Gerd Müller. They called him Der Bomber. Gerd Müller was a machine. 68 goals in 62 games for West Germany, over 700 in his club career. He just didn't miss. But Alzheimer's disease came hard for him. Toward the end, he couldn't recognize his old teammates, or even remember he once lifted the World Cup. In 2021, he passed away in a care home, aged 75. One of the greatest finishers the game has ever seen, and one of the saddest ends. Christian Atsu, February 2023. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake hits Turkey and Syria. Hatayspor's building collapses. Christian Atsu is inside. Initial reports say he was rescued. Social media breathes a sigh of relief. But those reports were wrong. He was still under the rubble. His body was found 12 days later. He was 31. Atsu had just scored a last-minute winner the night before the quake. Ghana gave him a state-backed funeral. Like what you're seeing? Help us hit 5,000 subs before the next El Clasico kicks off. Let's continue. Samuel Okwaraji, 1989, World Cup qualifier between Nigeria and Angola. Samuel Okwaraji was everywhere, tackling, pressing, passing. He didn't look tired. Then, in the 77th minute, he collapsed. The stadium froze. He never got up. He was 25. The autopsy revealed heart failure, undiagnosed high blood pressure, an enlarged heart, and a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. He had a law degree, played for Nigeria for free, died wearing his national jersey. His heart gave out, but not before giving everything he had. Gary Speed, November 2011. The headlines were everywhere. Gary Speed found deceased in his garage. He was 42nd, managing the Wales national team. Just appeared on TV the day before, smiling, laughing, talking about the team's future. No signs, no cries for help. There was no note, no explanation. His friends, family, and players were left with questions that never got answered. He played over 800 games, scored in every Premier League season from the first one, and was known as one of football's nicest guys. That's what made it worse. The shock still lingers. Jose Antonio Reyes. He was one of the youngest players to ever play for Sevilla, moved to Arsenal's Invincibles, won La Liga with Real Madrid, and came back home again. A full-circle career. In June 2019, he was driving a Mercedes Brabus at 237 kilometers per hour on a Spanish motorway. The tire blew out. The car burst into flames. Reyes and his cousin didn't make it. Only one person survived the wreck. He was 35. Sevilla held tributes, black armbands, and a full stadium silence. A player who loved to run died in a car that was going too fast to stop. Davide Astori, club captain, loved by his teammates. Astori led Fiorentina like a pro, but on March 4th, 2018, he didn't show up for breakfast before the team's match versus Udinese. Staff checked his room, found him dead in his bed, cardiac arrest. He was 31. The doctor who cleared his fitness got a 1-year suspended sentence for missing the signs of heart disease. It could have been caught. Fiorentina and Cagliari both retired his jersey number 13. His daughter was just 2 years old. Cheikh Tiote. We all remember his rocket against Arsenal. That 4-4 comeback with Newcastle? Tiote was the engine, tough, fearless, all action. In 2017, he moved to China to play for Beijing Enterprises. During a routine training session, he collapsed. Doctors couldn't revive him. It was a sudden cardiac arrest. He was 30. Ivory Coast gave him a full military funeral. The number 24 jersey retired. He left behind a wife and 3 children. Miki Roque. Roque played for Real Betis, a tall defender with leadership written all over him. In March 2011, during a routine checkup, doctors found pelvic cancer. He fought hard, surgery, treatment, everything, but it spread fast. On June 24th, 2012, he passed away in Barcelona. He was 23. Betis retired his number 26. Fans still chant his name in the 26th minute of every game. Roque never got the long career he deserved, but in Seville, they never forgot him. Bobby Moore, captain, leader, legend. Moore lifted England's only World Cup trophy in 1966, a defensive masterclass in a crew cut. But in 1993, he lost a battle with bowel cancer. He'd been fighting it quietly for years, never wanted sympathy. He was 51. Wembley built a statue of him outside the stadium, arms folded, watching over the game. No England captain since has matched what he did, and they all walk past his statue before every match. Rommel Fernandez, Panama's best ever striker before the new generation, played in Spain for Tenerife, then Valencia. In May 1993, his car lost control and hits a tree. Rommel died instantly. He was 27. He once said, "I want to be remembered even when I'm gone." He got his wish. Panama named their national stadium after him, Estadio Rommel Fernandez. When you die young but leave a name behind, that's football immortality. Serhii Perkun, goalkeeper for CSKA Moscow. In a league match in 2001, he collided head-to-head with an on-rushing striker. He was subbed off, walked off the pitch. But inside, bleeding had started. Brain hemorrhage. He died 8 days later in the hospital. He was 23 and was Ukraine's youngest ever national team keeper. Gone after one clash. It's why today, goalkeepers wear protective gear and protocols around head injuries are tighter because of Serhii. George Best. He played like a god and drank like the world was ending. George Best was everything. The pace, flair, arrogance, and chaos. But he couldn't quit the bottle, not even after a liver transplant. He kept drinking. Eventually, his organs gave up. In 2005, he passed away at age 59. His final words, "Don't die like me." The genius who made Manchester United electric in the 60s died watching football from a hospital bed, knowing he wasted it. So, which one got you the most? Jota's sudden crash or Escobar's bullet? Football gives us joy, but these 20 stories remind us that the players are human. They bleed, break, and sometimes don't make it home. Like, subscribe and follow, and come back for more football drama in snackable football doses.